So there's this guy named Peter Jackson who, directs movies or something. You've probably never heard of him. He makes obscure films like Bad Taste, Dead Alive, Heavenly Creatures, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. There's this weird thing that happens with filmmakers that suddenly make it big. People actually become interested in other stuff the director has done, and a lot of the time it results in some really bizarre stuff making its way to DVD. Such is the case with Bad Taste, a kind of hybrid horror sci-fi movie that crosses Evil Dead with Night of the Living Dead. It's surprisingly tame, but don't worry, there's still enough bizarre crap in here to keep the avid horror geek glued to their seats. Jackson actually shot the whole film in his home country of New Zealand, over a period of years on his days off. The film literally looks like someone took a camera and a bunch of their friends and just decided to shoot stuff. It's got a slow pace, but it also has a charming sense of humor that's hard to ignore. Naturally, there are these zombies that take over an empty town. That's really going against the grain because usually they attack populated areas. So, I'm guessing this is all happening after a big zombie apocalypse already wiped out the town. That's what's so great about incredibly low-budgeted movies like this. You really have to use your imagination to fill in the gaps. These guys, I guess they're bounty hunters, although in reality they're probably just New Zealand locals, are called onto the scene to kill what's left of the invaders. There's some tech geek goofing around with him on the walkie-talkie.
Think you'd better kill him, Barry?
We finally see him, and he looks like a rejected actor from the Goonies audition. The first guy suddenly gets chased by all these normal-looking guys in blue shirts. Watch out, these are some pretty pissed-looking unarmed New Zealanders. Wouldn't want to stand in their way. The nerdy guy actually traps one of the perfectly healthy zombies that don't actually look like zombies on the edge of the cliff. Yes, this one's played by the director himself, Peter Jackson. Like Hitchcock, he prides himself in making cameos in his movies. The nerd starts torturing him when the zombie starts calling out to his buddies, and they all dart to his rescue. From out of nowhere, Derek pulls out a submachine gun, but can't quite figure out how to use it. He then proceeds to fake out the zombie by making the sounds with his mouth. And the zombie buys into it. The weird thing is, when he finally does fire off the machine gun, he still makes the annoying sound with his mouth. So one of the bounty hunters makes it to a farmhouse that looks like Tobe Hooper lives here. He gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, finds himself in stew. As it turns out, the creepy New Zealanders in blue shirts are not zombies, but aliens who have come to Earth to consume human flesh. We get to experience another alien delicacy, alien puke. That's right, Peter Jackson vomits up green slime into a bowl where everyone, including the human masquerading as an alien, takes a juicy swig. Alien puke. That's nutrition. Finally, we get to see the aliens in their true forms. And they look like Richard Nixon if he had been hit by that toxic waste truck from RoboCop. They walk like chimpanzees. The first time I saw this, I thought someone had accidentally put another movie on the DVD. This is like watching a cartoon. The bounty hunters get a hold of a rocket launcher and start blowing up the aliens' main base. Derek shows up and starts mutilating aliens left and right with a chainsaw. You know there's going to be a decent amount of blood when they start whipping out one of those. Then, in a turn of events, Derek goes insane and turns on his comrades. We find out that the alien farmhouse was actually a spaceship all along, and takes off with the deranged Derek still inside.
I'm born again.
So, that's Peter Jackson's off-the-wall first effort Bad Taste. And depending on your taste in movies, it could be horrible, or it could be not so bad. I was so used to seeing crappy horror movies when I picked this up that honestly I was kind of used to its schlock factor. For a movie that barely had any budget, or makeup or props for that matter, it certainly doesn't lack in gore. I covered the major plot points, but there are some decent gags, and some pretty sick ones. There's a running gag where Derek falls off a cliff only to have his brains fall out of his head. For the rest of the movie, he runs around trying to keep his brains inside his head, and because of this, he gradually starts to lose it. It's not Halloween, or Friday the 13th, or, hell, The Howling. It's Bad Taste. If you want another bizarre, obscure horror movie, you could do worse.